Hi friends, welcome to Polish Mama Cooks. The weather is absolutely dreadful today. It's raining and it's just cold. So what can make that weather better is apple pie. So today we're gonna make some beautiful apple pie with some raspberries and meringue on top of it. And what you're gonna need is a bit of flour and some apples. But since we just visited a farm where we picked our own apples and raspberries, the ingredients are not a problem. I would like to thank all my supporters and give a shout out today to an amazing chef that's been supporting me, Chef Pablo Gongora. I will leave the link in the description to his YouTube channel. It's amazing, you can learn so much from him and he is so much fun to watch. So remember to check it out. If you're ready, let's start. What makes baking for me easier is to have a plan and follow it. So first I start with preheating the oven, then I butter the tray or spray the tray. That way I do not forget about those two important steps later on. For next I prepare the filling. In this case I peel and grate all the apples so I can squeeze out the juice for myself and then drink it later. Next thing you want to do is separate the eggs. So yolks goes in one bowl, then the egg white goes to another. You can crack it in half and just slowly get rid of the egg whites. And that's the way I was taught. And what you need to do with the white is basically beat them. The trick to beat them is very easy. The eggs shouldn't be very cold, and what makes them a bit fluffier and easier to beat is to add a bit of salt. Next thing you want to do is slowly and steady add a cup of sugar. Next thing you're gonna do is take 3 cups of flour and then just sift it through. Add a tablespoon of baking powder and a bag of vanilla sugar or a tablespoon of vanilla extract. For this recipe I use 8 ounces of soft butter, sometimes a bit more, and I add all 5 yolks that I separated before. And then this fun part starts. I like to get a bit dirty, so I just squish it in between my hands and make the dough. I do not add sour cream. My secret is to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I think I don't need sour cream, and this oil just makes it easier to make the dough and also gives an extra flavor, which I like. The kneading is done. You can see I have a pretty ball. Now I'm gonna let it sit for a few minutes. So I take a small bunch of my crust and I'm gonna put it on top of my egg whites, and then with the rest I'm just slowly starting to kneading it and to put it on my baking sheet. I use my fingers. It should be flat, it should be the same thickness all over the whole baking sheet. So I use my fingers to move it, and then the crust or the dough should go up on the sides like this. So after the dough is done, it's time for the filling. Remember that you don't have much time after you put the apples on the dough to put it in the oven, because if you leave it for a longer time, it's all gonna get soggy. So make sure that you squeeze out as much juices from the apples as you can, and then just start to layering them out on the tray. I love cinnamon, so here I use 1 tablespoon, sometimes even 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and then 1/4 of teaspoon of cardamom. On top of that, I start to lay out my raspberries. They can be frozen, and those are because after we pick them in a farm, I had to froze some of them because we had so many. And on top of that, we're gonna put our egg yolks. Your egg yolks should not be falling out at all. This part I like the most because I can lick the spatula later, but with a spatula just spread the exact whites all over the fruits. Make sure that they just in one smooth layer. I also take the dough that we set aside, and then on big ice of the grater I just sprinkle it all over the egg whites for the more rustic look of it. So at this point your oven has to be preheated. I preheat it usually to 320 Fahrenheit and then keep it in the oven for an hour. To the point that the crust, the meringue, is just hard as a shell. To make sure that the air bubble doesn't burst my meringue and the cake doesn't go flat, I like to keep my pie for about 15-20 minutes in a warm oven before I take it out. So that's a simple recipe with not too much sugar for Polish apple pie with meringue on top of it. I hope you will enjoy it because I absolutely love it. And it's not too sweet. So for me, it's just perfect. Thank you for being with me today and see you next time. Bye bye!